Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm just going to be doing a quick tutorial on how to make some of the roses that you can cut with the Close to My Heart Cricut cartridges. So in both the Art Philosophy and the Artiste, you can actually cut shapes that then you can roll into roses. So in the Art Philosophy starting on page 68, here's two samples. So basically the image is cut like that, and then you can roll it into a rose. So there's one here. We're going to be actually doing both of these roses today. And then in the Artiste, there's about 4 options for cutting out roses. So on page 54, there's the 4 there. And basically you're just going to get like a different cut edge on each one, and it's just going to create like a bit of a different effect. So I'm going to show you how to roll up your roses. So what you're going to need is, Close to My Heart has a quilling tool, and basically hopefully you can see that on one side there is a slit that is slightly longer than the other side. So this one is not quite, sorry it's off camera, this one is not quite as long, but they both basically have slits in each of the ends. So you're going to need that, and then you're going to need some kind of adhesive to glue your roses down. So I'm just going to be using liquid glass today. I just have an elastic on it to keep a needle on it so that I can unplug it whenever I need to. So I'll be using liquid glass. And then I also have a little wooden kind of stick, because I want to use this to roll back some of the petals in one of the roses that I'm going to show you today. So here are some of the samples of ones that I've already made. This is made with our colonial white paper, and then I've just kind of brushed the edges a little bit with the blush ink pad. And then there's another one. This is actually my favorite one. I'm going to be rolling my favorite one today. And then this one is the one with the jagged edge. You can see it from the side there. So in this case I didn't actually roll back any of the edges. I just twirled it together and made the rose that way. And then we're also going to be making one of these style, which is kind of like the spiky kind of edge there. And then yeah, and then we're gonna be rolling this one together. So I'm gonna just move those aside. So I'll start with the this blush one. So what I do is when I make these roses, I cut them at different sizes, and so that when I'm doing them on a project I can create like a bit more depth with different sizes. So generally speaking, I will start cutting them at one cut. So in this case I think this is probably 3.5, and then I'll go down by 3/4 every time. So if I cut my first one at 3.5, then I'll cut my next one at 2 3/4, and then 2 inches, and so on. So that's just something I do, like just to kind of create some variance in the size of the rose. So what you're going to do first is, I like to work this way. So I'm going to be having my end on this, the left, what I consider the left side, but you certainly can do it this way as well, if you prefer to roll it the other way, but I just find it easier for myself to roll it this way. So the first thing you do is you want to take, I'm going to take the quilling tool with the longer edge, and I'm just going to put it into each petal, and I'm just going to be rolling them back. So I just basically get it in the tip, and then I kind of roll it back. And I do this before I start to roll the rose around, just because I find that it's a little bit harder to do after the fact. So I'm just gonna kind of keep, and sometimes you have to kind of go back in again and help it kind of roll a little bit more. And you don't have to be too particular about this. It's just to kind of get it so that it's going towards the back. And then sometimes once I get the quilling tool in and I start to roll it, I'll take my finger and kind of keep it there so that I can keep rolling it back. So what I'm going to do is just quickly go around and do the rest of the rose. Okay, so this is the last one that I'm going to be curling down. So basically you're going to have a shape that kind of looks like this, where your petals are kind of curled back. So now what you want to do is you can take either end. I tend to, depend on the size of the image, I will use the smaller end for my smaller roses and then the bigger one for my medium to bigger roses. So I'm going to use the bigger end in this case. So you're going to be getting it right near the edge and you start rolling it back towards you. Now what you want to do is, I have this index finger so that the quilling tool is kind of pressing against it to help kind of shape the cardstock, and then I'm trying to hold back the edges that we just curled backwards. I'm trying to hold them back so that they stay kind of curled as we roll. But if one of them kind of comes unraveled and while you're turning it sort of stands up straight, it's fine, it doesn't really matter. So the main thing is, when you're going to be twirling this towards yourself, you just want to use your fingers on the back of it to kind of help guide the rose to take shape, basically. So I'm going to keep going, and I'm doing this fairly tight, like I don't have a lot of kind of spaces, so you just keep rolling it around. And then what I do is, when I get to the middle, I'll take out the quilling tool and then I'll kind of hold it for a couple seconds. I just want the cardstock to kind of keep the shape of the roll. So what I do is I just hold it for a few seconds and then I just let it go. And I put it down on my work surface, and I'm just gonna zoom in so you can kind of see better what I'm doing. So what I do here in this case is, it's kind of already taking shape. So I find that when I hold it like that, it actually kind of looks quite good already, like it's got even spacing. So for this part, I don't kind of play with it too much. I just leave it, and then you're going to take your liquid glass or any liquid adhesive that you prefer, and I'm going to be putting quite a generous amount on the bottom, and I'm just going to be swirling it around because I want all the different edges of the different layers to be adhered down. So I basically put quite a bit down there like that, and then what I'm going to do is I'm kind of holding it, and it's like I'm just taking the rose and putting it down. So, and sometimes it'll come a little bit unraveled, so I might twist it kind of clockwise so that it can kind of take the shape of the rose, and then I'm just holding it down. You just want to hold it for a few seconds. I would say probably 30 seconds or so you want to hold it for the liquid glass to start to dry. It does dry fairly quickly. And then you'll kind of know, because when you go to take your finger out, it doesn't start to pop up or kind of move anywhere. So that's basically it. So that is the first rose that we made. It's so easy, it's so quick, and they just really make your projects look so amazing. They just add so much dimension to your project. You can take any of your cardstock. So in this case, I've used the white daisy, and of course my favorite color, purple. So this is the Gypsy ink pad, and what I do is I will sometimes take the white ones, and then I just will use my sponge dauber. I just label all mine with the colors that are on the sponge dauber so I can use the same color again. And then I'm just going to go around all the little petals before I roll them back. And you can basically be as light-handed or heavy-handed as you want, depending on how much you want this pop of color to show through. There is the Gypsy, and then I'm going to take my tool, and again I'm just going to go around, and I'm going to be bending back all of my little petals. Okay, so here it is again. I've just rolled back all the petals, and I'm going to be taking my quilling tool and putting it in one end. In this case, I'm thinking I'm going to use the shorter end. And I'm just going to be basically rolling it back on itself, and then using my fingers behind to guide the cardstock into the roll as well, so that it keeps the shape as I'm rolling it. After you do, like, I've probably made so many of these, but after you do several of them, you can get really quick at it, and you can make so many in a short amount of time. So they're quite fun, and like I said, they add so much to your project. So Okay, so again, I'm going to take it out. I'm going to just hold it for a few seconds. And then I'll let it go. And I'm going to put it down on itself. So basically you're going to get that dollop of a liquid adhesive down on the bottom. And then I'm going to be just kind of pulling it over onto itself and adhering it down. And I should mention that you can always, if you do really large roses, you might not want to use the quilling tool to turn the petals back. You can use it for sure to wind it around on itself, but as far as the petals go, you could use a pen or any round kind of shape or tool that you have to kind of move roll the petals back that way, because the petals are going to be bigger, so you might like to do that. So there you go. There is the little white one. And you know, at this point, if you want it to be even more kind of colorful than it is, you could go in with your sponge dauber and certainly add more color to it. I would certainly encourage you to consider doing pattern paper. Pattern paper looks really nice doing these roses because our pattern paper has a pattern on both sides, so it looks really cool when you roll the rose together and you have the patterns. You can kind of see the pattern from different angles in the rose. So definitely, you know, branch out and use your pattern paper as well. So for this one, I just wanted to show you, that's why I have this wooden tool. I didn't want to use a quill to roll these kind of petals back, because then I think they'll be too tight, but I do want them to be just slightly back. So what I do in this case is I just take it and I'm just kind of rolling it. So I take 3 or 4 at a time and I'm just kind of rolling them back on the little kind of wooden stick here. And you actually don't have to roll back the petals at all. This is just a look that I like. You can, with any single one of the rose shapes that you cut, you could just start twirling them. You don't have to like bend them back at all if you don't want to. So again, I'm going to go in with the smaller end of the tool. Now this one's a little bit, because the petals are going to be kind of up more, you don't have to, like the finger behind, you can do it a little bit more loosely because you don't want to basically crush these petals because they're so kind of long. So you're kind of putting the pressure, you're creating the pressure more near the base to kind of roll it around on itself, versus along like the whole back of the petal, because then you're just gonna bend back your little petals too tightly. So I'm just gonna keep going. Here you go. Again, take it out and hold it for a few seconds and then let it go. Now this one, when I did it, okay, so it's basically stayed in itself. So I do find with these ones, because the petals are so kind of spiky, they kind of get tangled up a little bit. So all you have to do is kind of twist it the opposite way, like counterclockwise, and then you'll kind of get it loose again for you, and then you can it'll work, like it'll be ready to kind of put shape into your rose. So just going to put your liquid glass on the bottom, and then I'm going to roll it down. Now because we kind of loosened it like that, I am going to be turning it clockwise because I want it to kind of be a little bit tighter. And then I'm sort of finding the middle and kind of holding it down. And the other thing I should mention, when you're holding it down, you can't just, sometimes you can't just hold down the middle. You kind of, I use these fingers to kind of hold the outside layers down too, so that they're basically connecting with the liquid glass on the base, and they're going to be you know, glued into place there, because sometimes you can just do the middle, but then the outside layers will kind of unravel a little bit. So that's it. So there it is. That is quick and super easy. And then some other ideas is you can put like little rhinestones, like, you know, in some of your roses you can just put like a rhinestone in the middle of the petal and do all kinds of things. So again, I really hope that you guys try these roses on your own and see how easy they are to make for yourself. So happy crafting, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye bye.